ホワイトチャペルに着いたところからですね。地域の状態深刻。で、前回隠れ家を見つけて、あれ隠れ家の下の方に出てるな。ホワイトチャペルには着いたんですけど、隠れ家見つけて、で、とりあえずここまでで終わろうかって言って終わったんで、まだこの辺の住人とかを全然探せてないんですよね。あ、扉2箇所ある。2箇所あるな。出口の方向が違うだけかな。ホワイトチャペル着いたとこなので、ちょっとこの辺の住人を探して会話しときたいなと思ってるんですけど。これ裏道の方に来てんのかな。もうちょっと戻ったところにも NPC とかいた気がするんで、まっすぐ行かずにちょっとこの辺で会話できるキャラとか探してみよう。あ、いるいる。
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir.
ロレ
Are you
ッタ。
interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
疫病に効く奇跡の薬に興味はある
The
か。
famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
兄が主人公の、左側の男性のことを話していた。品物、これ商人なんだ。ちな
You
みに
look ill, Miss Swanborough. I wonder if your
お、調子が
concoction
悪
will
い。
do the trick.
I'm perfectly fine thanks to my miraculous elixir. You, on the other hand, look pale and tired, Doctor.
いや、健康だよな。ブラフか。ブラフかけたっぽいですね。
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
花を配って歩いてる人がいる。
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
キャドガン・ベイツってやつが新しい住人を食い物にするらしいんだけど、ギャングかな、もしかして。ヒントがないんで個人的な情報は聞き出せない。
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
この人はお金を払ってくれれば治療薬渡すよっていう人だから、貧しい人にも手を差し伸べますっていう、そういうタイプの看護師は商売敵ってことか。
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
薬というか薬の素材売ってる。素材か。なんか必要なものがあったら買いに来ればいいぐらいかな。ここに今の住人がいたのね。これ裏側とかにも人いそうだな。先にこの周辺を探索してから Y マークがメインクエストなんでそっちに行きますかね。 赤いところがあるな。なんだろうこれ、危険地帯かな。とりあえず周辺探索をしたいんで、こっちで合ってるかな。こっち側にも行ける。こっち行っちゃうとメインに近いのかな。あ、行けるか。アイテム。グリストネジ。回っただけか。裏の方にアイテムがあるわけでもないんで。台がある。指輪ゲット。こっち側行き止まりか。開けらんないな。
It's locked, all right.
反対側から開けないとダメか。
The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money.
結構街中とか入り組んでるんで人がいるな。 NPC がなんか漁ってる。
What? Shooting a boy in the middle of a street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
ホワイトチャペルに来てすぐに銃撃音がしたんですけど、その時の銃撃った人ってことか。この手紙を読むべきだ。なんだろう。渡してみよっかな。
I have found a very interesting letter. Your son planned to prove his worth to the gang by stealing your medicine.
Oh, I see. So the little bugger thought he could use his dad to build a reputation.
The gang's recruiter was dead when I found him. Perhaps you should take better care of your son.
I love my Albert, sir. Believe me. It's just... Well, I'm an arsehole, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for the letter. This is for your trouble.
アルバートっていうのが今目の前にいる人の子供かな。でなんか調査に成功ってなって報酬もらった。まあ多分分解用の素材だと思うけど。
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live, and this is where I live now.
You don't have anywhere to go. No family that would welcome you.
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick, you see. Long before the flu and all this shit.
奥さんは流行り病で死んだのね。
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. And now I'm just Ben. Ben the Tramp.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
片頭痛持ち。片頭痛の薬が作れればってことか。
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just frayed me last nerve.
まあ要するに怒りに任せて子供を撃ったって話ですね。
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Have you heard anything?
It's funny, I've been searching for her too. I need some pills. But the woman is a phantom, if you ask me.
Really? And why is that?
Word is she ain't real. She's just a cover for some doctor who runs an illegal dispensary for migrants.
ああ、違法な医者、潜りの医者的な感じで言ってるな。
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
I'm not dying some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lappy.
もう一人、アルバート、子供か。あ、子供いる。さっきの人の子供だな。
Be proud.
Are you all right?
The bastard at the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything. It ain't me.
状況証拠的にこの子が親から薬を取ろうとしたっていう感じなんだけど、本人は否定してると。
All right. Perhaps the poor drunk just confused you with someone else.
Shut off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could...
ああ、でもアルバートがギャングに加入しようとしてるのは本当なんだ。疲労の薬はありそうだな。
help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? If you know anything about her, I'd appreciate it.
Never heard of her. She's pretty, I'll keep an eye out.
Goodbye,
こ
young
れ以上の情報は今は聞けない
I'm
か。
not dying some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
ネズミがいるくらい。裏路地になんかありそうにも思えるな。ちょっと降りてみるか。あ、血は十分にある。これはさっきの、そうか、死体のところか。じゃあ回ってきたんだ。じゃあ裏側は、ここまで行ったのかな。いや、今これ降りたから、もうちょっと右の方というか、この辺行ってないですね。さっきの人か。違う、これ死体っぽいな。扉が開けられる。これがか。いや、ここじゃなくて。上に行ける。アイテムだけかな。さっきの会話のところだ。街中ちょっとカメラが壁とかに近いんで少し酔いやすいかも。もうちょいこう引いた視点だったら酔いにくいと思うんだけど、ちょっと近めですね。これ開けらんないか。鍵がかかっている。こっち側から行けない。 じゃあ一回隠れ家に行って薬作るか。ここじゃないわ。あれどこだっけ。あれここ曲がったところか。片頭痛持ちと疲労持ちだったかな。お、アイテムが復活してる。片頭痛の薬は持ってないのかな。持ってないのか。確かこれで疲労が治せたはず。貧血も作っとくか。ちょっとこの辺一個ずつ作っとこう。下の列は風邪薬しか使え、風邪のやついたよな。どこだっけ。違う。人物関係で、風の子。もう治療したんだっけ。頭痛持ちが2人とか。片頭痛の薬知らないんだよな。確か、この辺だっけ。上の方に、今マークをつけたところが34メートル先に出てるんで、この左かな。
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, all right? Now piss off.
Do you need assistance?
Please. Feeling tired these days.
There you go. Let's hope nobody steals it from you.
Very funny.
Goodbye, young man.
ヒントがないんでこれ以上会話できないな。ストーリー進めないとかな。この家の中がテスト対象かな。この辺のアイテムとかないか。ないか。扉は開かない。
It's locked.
ここを開けるとメインが進むっぽいですね。どうしようかな。この周り NPC いないかな。いるやん。
Can't you just look? Welcome, sir. Please take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
商人ね。
Right then. Show me what you have.
武器系の改造パーツかな。 いや、良いハンドルあるけど高いな。アイテムが結構高いんで、あんまり適当に買うと危ないかな。
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
ジョー・ペーターソンが、商売人から金を集めているというか、諸場代をよこせ的なことかな。そうっぽいかな。
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
What you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
新しい調査が出た。小屋の方に物を忘れてきたから取ってきたらいいのかな。
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
叫ぶだけで会話が成立しない奴らに襲われたって言ってるし、多分ヴァンパイアの眷属的な奴らかな。
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
なんか突然そうだと思う、移民が悪いんだって出てきた。あの女の人外国人っていうのが要は移民だよっていう風にこの男の人は思ってんのか。なるほどね。外国人ってそういう意味か。
Yes, she's a nurse, and quite a good one. What did she do to gain such notoriety?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
ドロシーは偽名で医薬品を無償で配っている。ホワイトチャペルの中心人物ですね。
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
で、もう一人だ。この人。
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off.
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
またジャーナリストかって言ってるってことは、この辺にジャーナリストがなんか記事を求めて、スクープ求めて来てるのかな。
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
ああ、この人ギャングの構成員なんだ。
Most people don't become thugs when unemployed. This is a choice you made.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
昔は親友だった。さっきの証人の人と、今のこっちの、まあ脅してる人、ギャングの一員の人、この人は昔親友だった。
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
この辺は治安が悪いから医者があんまり来ないってことですね。あんまりっていうか全然来ないと。
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
ドロシーが助けてるのは主に移民ってこと？あ、近くにまだ誰か住人がいるけど、この部屋も入れるな。
Hello, young man. I'm Dr.
住人がいた。
and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way. Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
ペーターソンの家。ペーターソン。あれ、どこで会った人だ？こっち側がさっきの証人だよな。
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough, like... Well, you know.
Speak.
あ、病気がち。あ、疲労。あ、これ今会話してる人か。そうだな。なるほど。ペーターソン。ああ、さっきの脅してる、店の人を脅してるギャングの人の息子ってことか。
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
ここに来たのは父親の判断。
You have a roof over your head, a place to call home. Many people here are not as lucky, you know.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
ああ、相談なしに引っ越し先決められたことがちょっと不服なんですね。
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
人間が怖い。
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Even my dreams are soaked with
アイ
glue.
テム取れそうなんだけど。ここから進めない。あ、いける。取れていいのか、これ。10人目の前にいるけど。
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
It's locked, all right.
ああ、さすがに重要そうなところは鍵かかってるか。で、疲労回復の薬が1個必要ね。
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
あれ、こっち側にさっき。ああ、上の方にいる。
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
街に衝突するアルマゲドンっていうのは疫病のことかな。
I am. But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. What do you mean when
All
quite a...
but you
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
深淵からの軍団。ヴァンパイアの眷属のこと言ってんのかな。
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
浄化の炎。疫病を火で浄化したがっている。ああ、要は患者の家ごと燃やしちゃえばってこと？
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
ああ、違う。これ、患者の家燃やすんじゃなくて、もう町ごと全部焼いちゃおうってことだ。これ多分牧師さんだと思うんだけど、結構やべえやつだな。これ下の選択肢いいな。今20世紀ですよ。
Fire is just the instinctive answer of a caveman facing something he does not understand. This is the 20th century.
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool.
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
副牧師がいる？この人は牧師だと思うんだけど、副牧師がいる。で、意見が違うのかな。
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
堕落した町の中心に送り込んだ。
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
これ墓地に行ったら弟子が死んでるとかかな。
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
ドロシーは秘密裏に活動するレジスタンスだった。母国での話。だから、外国から来たっていうのは合ってんだ。
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
I have had enough for tonight. Goodbye.
この人は結構狂信的なタイプなのね。これは入れない。あ、この赤いところが教会ってことかな。なんか光ってるかと思ったけど、雨が反射してるだけ。お、奥の方行ける。スカールいるんですけど。横にはいない。こいつだけか。お、横手が後ろから来た。てか、まだ2体。ああ、噛まれたね。バリア張っとくか。よしよし、巻き込んだな。やばいやばい。ああ、噛まれたな。ちょっと回復しないと危ないか。3体いたな。あれ？倒したやつどこ行った？倒したやつがアイテムを落とすはずなんだけど。あれ、もう一体いた気がしたけど。ここら辺敵いるのね。この小道入れない。入れないか。部屋は開かないし。こんなところに。これさっき言ってた墓地に送り込んだっていう人か。弟子の方か。弟子がここにいる。
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir.
詩人。
Richard Nethercott, at your service.
あれ？弟子の人じゃないのか。詩人。
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
あ、この人風邪薬渡せるな。
Do you need medical attention, sir?
It may be wise to let you prescribe me something. I don't feel like I should.
I understand your appetite for words and macabre beauty, sir. But you should be more careful.
The nutrition of my mind is more important than my physical health. But I appreciate your concern, sir.
May I ask what you're doing?
Not at...
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
結局伝染病怖いって言ってんのかな？
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
ああ、この詩人の人は疫病でみんなが街に出なくなったから静かになって喜んでるんだ。
Yes. The enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear doctor.
やばくなったら誰が助けに来てくれんねんって言ったらあなたですって言われた。
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
家族とはうまくいってない。おう。
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
In what way, exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles and the added hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox. The stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
ホワイトチャペルのこのエリアの苦悩を詩として書きたいと。
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir, Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much, and that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
カメリアは花を配って歩いてるっていう喋れない人かな。
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives? How she survives? Whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
アメリアがミステリアスな女性であることに惹かれてるから真実は知る必要がないというか知りたくないって感じね。
I'll leave you alone, sir.
Some of it.
編集者の断りの手紙。出版タイトルとかは良くないからタイトルを変えないと出版できないよって言われてるんだ。この人の本かな。
Good evening, Mr. Nethercott.
And good evening to you too, my good sir. Can I be of any help?
あ、さっきのやつでヒントが増えた。
You don't really make a living from your scribblings, do you, Richard?
No, sir, I don't. I work so hard. I put all my time, my energy, my devotion into the precise carving of words.
When she was younger, my mother was a painter and a poet. She told me many times how poor her artist friends were and how she helped them.
My parents pay for my rent, my food, and my clothes. All I have to give them in return is lies they do not believe.
You seem embarrassed.
Someday I hope to proudly offer my first publication to my parents. Until that day, I'll remain the failure of a son they have to support.
ああ、まだデビューしてないんだ。詩人、自称詩人なんだけど、詩で認められたことがない。
I'll leave you alone, sir.
なかなか厳しい状態ですね。こっち側なんもないか。扉開けてかな。この先もなんもないよね。アメリア、さっきの詩人の人が惚れてる人か。
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly.
喋れないんで、体の動きで返答を見るのかな。
I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Tell me about Richard Nethercott. I understand he is quite fond of you, Camellia.
健康にはなってるけど、
Very well. Goodbye then.
会話が成立しないのね。無料健康診断のクーポンが鼻の間に隠されている。
Hello again, miss. Camellia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. Very well. Goodbye then.
いやー、情報を得られないんだな。これ、別エリア？ホワイトチャペル弓道。ここもホワイトチャペルの一部ってこと？回復しといて。食らっちゃった。お、火で燃やされる。なんだこれ。なんかついた。ちょっとここ危ない。あ、火で燃やされたのね。牧師。やばい。体力落ちやばい。 おお、こっちまで来んの？戻っていく。後ろから。いや、こいつ地域かんのか。いいと闇に耐性があんのか。じゃあ物理で殴っていくしかないな。もうレベル高い。スタミナないわ。一回離れてスタミナ回復していける。なんか光で吹き飛ばされて、うわ、めっちゃ食らった。やばい。やばいやばいやばいやばいやばいやばいやばいやばい。強っ。
This man stunned me with his face. His crucifix. This is not good news.
さすがにこっち側には12いないかな。さすがにいなさそうだし、ちょっと戻るか。いやー、さっきの牧師強かった。下の方にもいる。新人でレベル15。強いな。で、ここら辺は回ったのかな。いや、違うな。ここ行ってないな。この赤いところの周りは回ったけど、まだ会話してないやつがいた。
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
最近町に来たっていうジャーナリストね。
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
It's a disgrace. People are left to die alone. No one is properly informed of the risks.
These are bad times indeed. So much for the glorious British Empire.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
この人も疲労持ちだな。疲労回復の薬ちょっと多めに使わないとやばいか。
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
インフルエンザ以外の理由があるんじゃないかって怪しんでんだ。
I must confess, some of my rational views have been shaken by recent events.
I'll remember to stay away from the district's roughest streets then.
ヒントがないんで、これ以上の会話無理ですね。ジャーナリストだったらいろいろとなんか情報もらえそうだけど。まだ会話してない人がいる？下の方か。上にも行ける。上なんだろう。登れるだけ？登れるだけ？向こう側に降りれんのかな？違う？
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed. Or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
この人も疲労が溜まってますね。
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
この人は記者が最後までここで情報を集める、真実を集めるとは思ってないんだ。
Why this skepticism?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry? Or about poverty? Or anything else you have never suffered from?
自分が貧困側にいないのになんで貧困のことがわかるんだってことね。
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
この人も移民ってことね。移民であるから仕事が見つけられないと。
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Goodbye, miss.
しまった。
Take care of yourself as best you can. Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
ドロシーのこと聞いてなかった。
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
ドロシーの本名はドロセアで確定かな？
Take care of yourself as best you can.
ここ行きたいけど多分、これ、メイン、そうか、メインクエスト、家の方だから、家通り過ぎればいいのか。その前に一回拠点戻って薬作るか。これ、マーカー何個か置けるんだ。疲労回復の薬が2、3個いるのかな。ロードがちょっと長いですね。アイテムとかが復活してんのかな。こんなことはない。何回もあった。シリング。取り忘れかな。これ、なんか表示がいつもと違うなんで。これ調査画面ね。なるほど。クエストの表示ってことがこっちが。なるほど。クエスト結構出てるけど、クリアできてないってことね。で、こっちで病気が見れて、片頭痛無理なんで、疲労が1人、2人、3人。疲労が3人。みんな疲れてるね。うわ、ナトリウム溶液がないか。分解で。いやー、ないな。ナトリウム溶液買ってこないとか。あと2個は作りたいんで、4個ナトリウム溶液買わないとだけど、いやー、でもこれまた別のところ移動したりとか、あとストーリー進んだりしたら疲労のたまる人増えるんだろうな。どっかのタイミングで治療する人としない人と分けないとダメなのかな。クレガ系がやっぱちょっと重いな。クレガとあと、ダンジョン的なとこに入るとこ、下水とか入るときとか、ちょっと重いですね。 この人、ナトリウム売ってるかな。
Good evening, my dear colleague.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
売ってる、5個売ってるけど、1個18か。まあまあ買うか。これ、隠れ家の読み込み長いんだったら、外でもなんか調合できるようになってたら楽なんだけど、まあ、さすがにそれはないんだろうな。手持ちの数が少ない素材系は買っといた方がいいか。ただお金がそんなないんですよね。よし、これで3人分の薬はできたので、あれ、隣の部屋あった。敵がいる。敵がいる。あ、噛まれた。血で、よっしゃ。おい。おいおい。また噛まれた。また車道で倒すつもりがこっちに来た。結構食らってんな。アイテムは落としてない。ん？今アイテム取った？ヴァンパイアは血を飲む。血を飲むことに中毒性があるってこと？この先にも敵いんのかな？これ扉開かない？開かないな。これは外に出たのかな？それともなんか別のエリアに繋がってんのかな？あ、まだ建物の中だ。違う。どっか出てきた。ああ、別の入り口ってこと？これ前開けられなかったところか。あ、なるほど。別ルートが開通したんだ。で、まあ、それはそうとして、 疲労の溜まってる人に薬配るか。
Someday you'll understand. You've wasted your life.
When science fails you, this
こっち側でよかったかな。この右の家か。
Please, I don't have your money.
Come on, Baron, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind.
Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
ハリーはうつ病なんだ。
Pain and suffering in this world.
あとは、ここら辺だったかな。あれここら辺にいなかったっけ。これはあれか、狂信者の牧師さんか。この辺に、あ、一人いるけどもう一人いたよな。
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows what I may have caught you in my investigation.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
あ、移民に仕事がないっていう話聞いたから会話が増えてるわ。
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
あれもう一人どこ行った？あれ戻ってきてる。
Something going on in this district.
Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good manners. Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
これで頭痛に悩まされてる人以外は一応治療終わったかな。なんかまだあと3人会ってない、4人か。4人会ってないことになってんな。会話増えてるかな。
It's not my call, Barrett.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you?
あ、増えてる増えてる。
Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I've known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. And these days, he's just another thug.
昔は まあもう一人のギャングの人はボクサーだった。
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Without making excuses for him, it's safe to say that despair can poison even the sanest mind.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
What do you know of Harry Peterson? The boy seems so fragile. Not like his father at all.
Harry's a good boy, but he spends most of his time complaining. He's had it tough, all right, but he needs to grow a pair.
What troubles him exactly?
Well, despite being his father's son, almost everything, I think. He never wanted to come to Whitechapel in the first place. Hates this place more than most of us.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
じゃあギャングの親父の方にも会話できるかな。
You again? What do you want this time?
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
あ、子供のことはちゃんと思ってるっぽいですね。こっち側にまだ会話の人がいいのかな。違う。敵がいた。じゃあメインの方ちょっと入っていますか。
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
男の正体を調べる。帰還支援。
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be from Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
ヒントを入手。ドロシー・クレインの右腕。この人か。
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
ジャーナリストか詩人と。詩人はなんか友達言ってたな。先に詩人の方かな。前ここにいたけど。いるいる。
Good evening, Mr. Nethercott.
And good evening to you too, my good sir. Can I be of any help?
色が黄色い。
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
ダリウスはかつてルーマニアの政治活動家。あ、じゃあこの人も移民か。
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But sorry, no, never heard of her.
Did you know the mute florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious camellia.
I fear you are a hopeless romantic, Mr. Nethercott.
Guilty as charged, Dr. Reed.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. Whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
I'll leave you alone, sir.
これであと、クレイトン・ダービーを見つけるになってるから、記者の方にも話を聞いてか。
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm afraid one of the nurses from the Pembroke Hospital may be involved with unsavory activities.
Ah, could it be Dorothy Crane?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
ポストの前で何かを破り捨てた。なんか言ったらアイテムあんのかな？
He has no relatives at all?
No, except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
郵便ポストと手紙を見つけるだから、投げ捨てたというか破り捨てたアイテムを回収ですね。こっちの方ね。この辺あったあった。ダリウスが自分の子供たちに宛てた手紙か。
The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter. Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. It should not be that difficult to incite him to let me in.
これもそのまま家に行ったら界隈イベント発生して入れるのかな。こっち側だっけ。
Mr. Petrescu, just 1 minute, please.
You again? Go away.
催眠レベル2が必要。ここに来るまでにレベル上げとけばなんか選択肢があるな。
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
催眠レベルってどうやって上げるんだ？スキルで上げられるのかな。
Mr. Petrescu, just 1 minute, please.
You again? Go away.
Sir, wait. Stop this nonsense. I know Nurse Crane is here. Shall we speak man to man, you and I?
All right. Speak up.
Don't you see we're on the same side? We fight to help the poor, sick, and abandoned.
I'm nothing like you, Mr. Doctor.
Yes, you are. You too believe in providing medical care without charge. You know what we have to sacrifice to make the world a better place.
I have to admit your words have conviction. All right, I'll let you see Dorothea. Don't make me regret this, though.
おもむろにアイテムを取っていく。あ、お金ゲット。
If you want to talk to Dorothea, you must go across the courtyard and take the stairs.
We've not been formally introduced. May I ask your name and occupation, sir?
I am Darius Petrescu. I'm here to keep snitches and spies away from Dorothea. And I also run this little print shop.
So Dorothy's real name is not Crane?
Like myself and many people in this area. Dorothea is from occupied Romania. That's all you need to know.
She seems important to the community.
More than you can imagine. The West End does not want to hear of Whitechapel's misery. Dorothea is one of the few doing something about it.
移民だってことを隠すために偽名使ってるってことかな。
Did you refuse to publish Richard Nethercott's previous works, Darius?
Yes, his manuscript is as pompous as he is starched. Now there's a man who loves the sound of his own voice.
You could have told him so.
As a great writer recently said, politeness is the most acceptable hypocrisy.
Tell me everything you know about Camellia, the mute florist.
I do not believe in the afterlife, Doctor, but I'm almost convinced Camellia is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Who is she, really? Do you know where she's from?
She's not from around here, that's all we know. Camellia is not even her name. It's her favorite flower.
You say she has no close family?
Well, there's that awful poet who constantly follows her around like a lost puppy. A good man for sure, but a very poor writer.
もうカメリアっていう花配ってる女性は本名じゃなくて花の名前からついてんだ。あと詩人さんのことを才能がない的なこと言ってたな。
Are you not worried for her safety?
She is as brave as she is tough, and clever too. If only I had met her when I was younger.
Are you in love with Camellia, Mr. Petrescu?
Don't be stupid. If I had met her when I was younger, we could have won our revolution.
Tell me everything you know about...
I do
これさっき聞いたよな。色が変わってないだけか。
Do you have any family left, Mr. Petrescu? Children or grandchildren?
Who knows? I have abandoned my people for so long, they might as well be dead. As dead as I am for them, I suppose.
This war won't last forever. Did you ever think of returning to your country now it's free?
No. I have taught strength and determination to my sons and daughters. I'm an old, dying man who only has memories of better times to cherish.
戦争が終わっても子供たちの元には戻らないよと。子は子で強く生きているはずだってことね。
Don't be embarrassed, sir. If you must know, my own father disappeared many years ago, and I forgave him.
It's quite awkward to talk about our families like this, but thank you, Dr. Reed. I appreciate your trust.
How did you meet Nurse Crane, Darius? Why does she trust you?
I'm her oldest friend in England. Dorothea and I share many ideas about this country and about the country we left.
You mean occupied Romania, don't you? Even if not directly, I fought against your enemies.
Really? Then perhaps you have more in common with Dorothea than meets the eye, Dr. Reed.
I know you fought for your country when it was occupied, Darius. Tell me more about it.
I know my days are numbered, and I know I won't see my homeland again. But I fought for Romania all my life, and I will until my last breath.
But Romania escaped the grasp of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's a free country again.
But it's not the country I fought for. My homeland is not appeased, Doctor. And I still see a dark future ahead for my people.
気管支炎の薬は持ってないのか。
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
アイテム落ちてないかな。開けとくか。 こっちも開けとこう。治療中の人みたいですね。血液サンプル。お金落ちてた。医療用の病棟だけあって、医療系のアイテムが多いかな。上の階かな。ちょっと先に下の方見とこう。クレイン看護師への手紙。愛する妹テオドラ。妹が祖国に帰ったってこと？ああ、そうみたいですね。ルーマニアに妹がいる。とりあえずアイテム回収してから。手伝ってって言われてる。ちょっと待ってね。アイテムを取ったら手伝うから。イベント始まった。
High fever running on 3 days. Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches, and head pain. Diagnosed with influenza.
Treatment?
Aspirin and salicin for the fever and discomfort. Liquids for dehydration, but he's having trouble keeping even water down.
Thank you, nurse. Anything else I should know?
He did lose consciousness this morning, but he's never had convulsions like these.
He's not convulsing, he's choking. He's not getting any air. Scalpel! Hand me that scalpel!
What can I do, Doctor?
It's too dangerous to operate with these convulsions. Sedative, nurse. Do we have any anesthetics?
I'm sorry, Doctor. None at all.
I need to perform a tracheostomy. Short pipe. That rubber tube will do. We're going to cut a passage for air through the neck.
Yes, Doctor. He's breathing again, but he's coughing up blood.
Internal hemorrhaging. I need to make another incision into the chest cavity to drain the fluids from the lung. Prepare another tube.
A thoracostomy? Doctor, we've nothing to fight the infection. We need an aseptic environment.
Right then, Nurse Crane. What do you suggest we do?
I've no idea. I'm not the doctor.
Time is of the essence. We need to perform a thoracic drain.
Yes, Doctor. He's still bleeding, Doctor. I'm losing his pulse.
The drain must have punctured the intercostal artery. There's too much blood.
Are you all right, Doctor?
I can't see. I must first suture the artery. Find the wound. The source of the blood.
Needle and thread, Doctor.
Good. The stitches are holding.
How's he doing?
We're losing him. We've lost his pulse. He's dying, Doctor.
A dose of epinephrine, now.
Yes, Doctor. We've lost the pulse. He's gone, Doctor.
Nurse, we did everything we could.
Truly? Everything you could. Is that how you'll report this in your log? Is this how the war went? Piling up one poor corpse beside the next?
This was not an influenza-induced seizure. I've never seen symptoms like these on the continent.
Neither have I. But the previous symptoms leading up to this attack were the same, indistinguishable from the epidemic.
No. There was something more vile in these reactions. Something primitive.
There have been numerous reports of mental breakdowns caused by the fever that accompanies the flu itself, Doctor.
Yes, but... I'd best take some samples of the blood for analysis.
これ選択肢違ったら助けられたのかな。
To what do I owe this courtesy? I suspect it was more than intuition alone that led you to us. So, how might I be of service, Dr. Reed?
要はこれ今闇医者状態なんですよね。
Your heart might be in the right place, but you can't carry on with this blackmail. For God's sake, Dorothy, it's extortion. It's a serious crime.
Doctor, you think your warnings scare me? I've stolen and plied, blackmailed and lied, but what else am I to do? I'm all these people have.
要はこれ病院からいろいろと物を取ってきてこっちで使ってるってことかな。
Dr. Swansea is a sensible and honest man. He wouldn't have refused your friend's care at Pembroke.
It's easy for you to say, Doctor. These people cannot go to the police, nor to the hospital. They don't even speak English. They depend on me for everything.
But why Lady Ashbury? Why her of all people?
She's pristine and proper, all right. But that she-wolf in sheep's clothing murders the poor for sport. I have her where she belongs, and I'll milk her for all she's got.
ああ、そういうことか。ヴァンパイアの人が脅されてるんですよ。お前の正体バラスト的な感じで。で、その脅してるのがドロシーってことね。やっと理解した。
So, the end justifies the means. Is that your defense?
I know you're kind, Doctor. Just another fine-heeled, silver-spooned gentleman who was given the world on a platter. You know nothing of poverty. Nothing of the shame, the hunger, the loneliness.
これ、黄色いやつ選ばないとメイン進まないってことかな。
You've convinced me of the sincerity of your actions and their noble justifications. But all the same, blackmail is a crime, and it will stop, Nurse Crane.
So, are you going to turn me over to the authorities?
ああ、法要でヴァンパイアの一族にするってこと？すべてを。これ、ロックが外されてるってことは、なんか条件満たしたってことかな。
Listen very carefully, Dorothy. You will erase from your memory everything you pretend to know about Lady Ashbury and Pembroke Hospital.
Let that rich bitch off the hook over my dead
Nurse
body.
Crane, enough. Listen as if your life depended on every word. I know you've a generous heart who gives freely to those in need, but you shall walk away from the shadier streets of your business.
I will never abandon...
Dorothy, the discussion has come to a close. Your clandestine activities in the Resistance are over. Let it go.
I'll let it go. Yes. All gone.
殺害可能な新しい市民がいます。この地区はすぐにあなたの行動の結果に苦しめられるでしょう。すごい、すごい。この人の服がすごい揺れてんだけど。ああ、すべてを忘れるって、ここでの治療のことも忘れるってこと？てっきりそのヴァンパイアに関することかと思って選んだんだけど。これはやらかしたかもしれん。
It's locked.
やらかしたかもしれんな。要は、中心人物をこの地区は失ったってことね。ああ、やばいかも。なんか今落とした。何下で戦闘来てる。あ、なんか遠から撃ってる。とりあえずこいつ倒してから。多いか。スタミナないわ。敵が侵入してきてる？おお、街の状態やばくなったのか、これ。めっちゃ敵いるやん。まともに食らった。あ、もうちょいなんだけど。で、よっしゃ。あとこいつから血を回収して回復して、このエリアの治安むっちゃ悪くなった。
Hello, Mr. Petrescu.
Hello, Dr. Reed. Come on in. Yes?
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
なんか今横にアイテムあった。うわー、やらかしたかもしんない。 これ眠ると日にちが経過して地域の状態が更新されるんだけど、そうするとホワイトチャペルやばいことなのかな。いやでもあと報告してチャプター2終わりそうな気がするんだよな。あ、そうか、でもファストトラベルないから報告戻るの大変か。肝子炎の薬作れるな。カリウム結構使うんだ。じゃあ報告次回にして、どうしよっかな。そろそろ誰か吸血した方がいいのかな。あ、催眠レベル上がってる。ああ、さっきのイベントで上がったってこと？この人に催眠かけるのに2必要だから、イベントで自動的に上がるのかな。なるほど。治療やめちゃうのかな。じゃあ次回報告から行こうかなと思います。今日はこれで終わります。では終わります。ご視聴ありがとうございます。